So the next article I wanted to look at is entitled Jerry Falwell Jr. Dropped His Defamation Lawsuit Against Liberty U. So I've been following the Jerry Falwell Jr. saga since day one. For those who may be unaware, he basically got booted out as president of Liberty U, the school that his dad started, for what they call immoral behavior, if you will. He basically took pictures that were less than reputable. I'm not sure how else to say it. He was standing with some strange woman who was not his wife, and they both had their pants unbuttoned and unzipped, and they were holding black water. It was alcohol, obviously, and he made a joke about it. He said, "I swear it's just black water. Obviously, it's alcohol." If one of the students had been caught taking a picture like that, they would be kicked out instantly. So that's where the problems started. Jerry Falwell Jr. posted that picture himself to his own Instagram and then deleted the picture afterward. But after that picture came out, a bunch of other information started coming out about his wife, Becky Falwell, and the questionable relationship that they have with other people, where Jerry just kind of sits in the corner while other people are, involved in their marriage in various different capacities. So anyways, after all that came out, Jerry Falwell was basically booted out as president, and he filed some defamation lawsuits against Liberty U, claiming that they were destroying his reputation. In all honesty, he destroyed his reputation himself. They didn't do shit. If he didn't want his reputation ruined, he shouldn't have done that shit. He should have lived by the standards that the school set up. Now, bear with me here. I don't believe that the school's moral code is right. Jerry Falwell, in my opinion, didn't do anything wrong. Dude didn't do anything wrong. He was living his life and having a good time, and there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with what he was doing, honestly. If he wants to have a party where he drinks a little bit, that's okay. If he wants to have a relationship with other people where he sits in the corner and his wife, gets involved with whatever, I'm not going to stop him. Be my guest, man. If that's what you enjoy doing, then do it. We only live once, right? YOLO. But sitting there and expelling students for less while you're over here doing that shit, that's just wrong, dude. That's wrong. And I can't forgive you for that one. So, anyways, come to find out, Jerry Falwell Jr., after filing that defamation lawsuit, has now dropped aforementioned lawsuit. Defamation lawsuits are actually very difficult to prosecute and to win, basically. From my understanding, my limited understanding, I'm not a lawyer, it's a different thing if you're a public figure than if you're just a normal, everyday guy off the street. In this case, obviously, he is a public figure. So in his case, he would have to prove that Liberty University knew they were lying. Prove intent. He has to prove intent, which is nearly impossible to do in most cases. Has to prove that they intentionally lied about him with the intent to destroy his reputation. And those lawsuits almost never work out. Almost never. So he dropped the lawsuit. And in my opinion, that was probably a good idea. He's just going to burn through money. He's not going to get anywhere with that lawsuit. So anyways, the article is entitled Jerry Falwell Jr. Dropped His Defamation Lawsuit Against Liberty U, and it's by Hemant Mehta on the Friendly Atheist website. So let's give the article a read and see what it says. Several weeks after Jerry Falwell Jr. sued Liberty University for allegedly damaging his reputation, he's chosen to drop the case entirely. The lawsuit was a joke to begin with, in large part because the guy who posted a bizarre picture of himself with his fly unzipped and belly out and who liked photos of younger women in not-so-Christian poses, and who posted a racist tweet in response to the governor of Virginia mandating face masks in public spaces, and who called a parent dummy for asking why Liberty was reopening during the COVID crisis, and who censored the school's own journalists, and who apparently fell down the stairs because he got hammered one night last month, was claiming that his former university was making him look bad. That's pretty funny. That really well said by Hemant Mehta there. I actually remember all of these, except I don't remember this one about him falling down stairs because he got hammered one night last month. I don't remember that case. I'll have to look into it a little bit more. But the racist tweet thing, it was pretty fucking bad, dude. I'm not even going to pull it up on stream, but you guys should look it up. If you wanted to look at it, just type in Jerry Falwell racist tweet or something like that, and it'll pop it up. It's a picture of like a hood and stuff, so I'm sure you can guess what it was all about. Anyway, let's continue reading the article and see what else it says. Falwell accused Liberty, and for some reason the anti-Trump Lincoln Project, of defaming him. Quote, in his complaint filed in the Commonwealth of Virginia Circuit Court of the City of Lynchburg, Mr. Falwell claims that Liberty University needlessly injured and damaged his reputation through a series of statements published in print and spoken in large public forums and streamed online following his forced resignation from the university. According to the complaint, these statements had the effect of affirming false claims that an individual made publicly against Mr. Falwell after years-long attempts at extortion against Falwell and his wife, Becky. I actually remember this case. This was, as far as I know, basically, I think this was the pool boy. Don't quote me on this. I would have to look more into it, but I've been following this fairly closely, so I'm pretty confident that the story goes Becky Falwell, Jerry Falwell's wife, met this pool boy and got into a relationship with him. And Jerry liked, going there while they hung out together, basically, and sitting in the corner of the room watching them hang out. And the pool boy basically came forward later and said, yeah, this is all what happened, blah, 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 told the whole story. And it was kind of an open secret anyways, honestly. Like, people who knew Jerry personally already knew this about the guy. It kind of leaked out from there. It has for years. I mean, there are other students at the school, like friends of Jerry Falwell's kids, that would say, I woke up and Becky Falwell is, like, in my room, like Predator style. So it wasn't a surprise to anybody when the pool boy came out and said this. So Jerry Falwell is coming out and claiming that the guy was just trying to blackmail him and all this, extort him for money and things. I don't know. Maybe he was, but that doesn't disprove the story. The story seems to be 100% true as far as I can tell. It's all but admitted at this point. They've had to do press conferences and stuff trying to defend themselves on this decision. And honestly, like I said before, I have no issue with Jerry Falwell living his life like this. Go nuts, dude. Seriously, go nuts. YOLO. You only live once. Do what you love. But don't tell your fucking students not to do it while you're over there in the corner doing it yourself. That's just straight up wrong. Anyway, let's continue reading the article. This is back to the quote. Based on research and investigation, this individual appears to be supported financially by political opponents of Mr. Falwell in the midst of a heated presidential campaign, likely including the anti-Trump Political Action Committee called the Lincoln Project. The complaint, which includes claims of defamation and breach of contract, alleges that Liberty University officials accepted the false claims against Falwell without investigation to force his resignation, and then engaged in a campaign to tarnish, minimize, and outright destroy the legacy of the Falwell family and Mr. Falwell's reputation. So my brother actually went to Liberty University, interestingly enough. He's not religious, and I'm not going to get into it too much, but basically he has opinions about this. He is an atheist, but he has opinions about this. He feels that Jerry Falwell is the reason why Liberty University has a shred of secular reputation, if you will. He feels like without Jerry Falwell trying to get accreditation for the school and trying to push it out as a legitimate school, it would have had zero legitimacy. It doesn't have much legitimacy anyways. It's obviously an extremist Christian Bible school, but it is accredited. You can take classes there and they will be recognized in most other colleges throughout the country, or many of the classes will. In some cases, you may have to retake some of the science stuff. Like you'd have to take biology classes over again if you transferred out of Liberty. But those credits would be recognized, and largely that's because of Jerry Falwell. So honestly, I think that Liberty U losing Jerry Falwell, as terrible a guy as he is, honestly, I think it may have been bad for the school to lose Jerry Falwell. They're going to lose their secular legitimacy, or their legitimacy among outsiders, if you will. None of the leadership that took the lead after he left, none of them give a shit about being recognized in the secular world. Jerry Falwell seemed to, at the very least. Anyway, let's keep reading. This is back to Hemant Mehta. Falwell added in a statement at the time, "I must take the necessary steps to restore my reputation and hopefully help repair the damage to the Liberty University brand in the process." His case was never strong, but more to the point, it's not like a victory would have salvaged his reputation when Falwell was his own biggest enemy. That's what I was saying earlier. The dude did it to himself, man. He did it to himself. Every bit of this is his fault. The reason everyone's been mocking him has everything to do with his own behavior, not some public statement from Liberty's Board of Trustees. The lawsuit was also bizarre, given that he stood to receive more than $10 million from Liberty U as a part of his severance package. It doesn't surprise me that he got a really, really big severance package from it. I feel that was probably a complete waste of money. The guy is already like a multi-millionaire. Doesn't need any more from Liberty U, but he definitely deserved to be terminated at the very least. Anyway, back to Hemant Mehta. Whatever the reason, the News and Advance now says Falwell's lawyers have told the courts they will no longer be pursuing the case. Quote, Judge James Watson granted the motion terminating the suit without prejudice. Watson's ruling leaves open the possibility of Falwell refiling a similar suit at a later date. Under Virginia law, a plaintiff is allowed one non-suit. I've decided to take a time out from my litigation against Liberty University, but I will continue to keep all options on the table for an appropriate resolution to the matter, Falwell said in a brief statement Thursday. They said here terminating the suit without prejudice. From my understanding, without prejudice specifically means you can bring it back up later if you want to. Back to Hemant Mehta. Weird way to say that was a stupid thing for me to do. Then again, maybe he deserves some credit. Normally, you need to hire a pool boy to sweep away a mess of this size. That's funny. Call back to the fact that the pool boy was involved in hanging out with Falwell's wife. The whole thing is a mess, and as Hemant Mehta said before, every bit of it is his own fault. He did everything here. He has nobody to blame but himself. And on that note, the guy is actually a fucking monster. Aside from all of this, I've expressed sympathy for him. If he wants to, have this kind of relationship with his wife and other people, whatever, dude, do it. YOLO, right? But in reality, he's a Trump-supporting, LGBT-hating sack of garbage. So I can't give him a pass on that shit. He's definitely a piece of shit.